Hey guys, happy Wednesday. So today I'm going to walk you through what you need to do today. So let's look at the agenda. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to review the organizational patterns Nearpod that we started yesterday that was given to you as a self-paced Nearpod. We're going to talk about all the organizational patterns and what they look like in writing. Then you guys are going to complete the identifying organizational patterns assignment that I'm going to also walk you through. Okay. Something that is new that you need to be aware of is we do have a attendance question now in the discussion board, and it's never going to be a question that's like really hard, right? So, like for instance, today is have you finished your CDB? If the answer to that question is no, you need to finish it. Okay, it needs to be done as soon as possible. Get that turned in. Remember, we talked about we want to get off to a good start this school year. I mean, not the school year, but this marking period, because some of us we struggled a little bit in the first marking period, and it's very hard. Like I told you yesterday, it's very hard to catch up once you've fallen behind in Schoology. Okay, so stay on top of your stuff, get it turned in. All right, so let's look at the organizational patterns Nearpod. All right, so we've been talking about this idea of the argument, right? Because it's very important that you guys know how to effectively argue because you are going to be writing a persuasive essay on the benchmark this year. And so we need to be able to hone our skills, if you will, in the persuasive genre. All right, so this is just kind of a review. We've talked about ethos, pathos, and logos before, but I just want to remind you what's in each one of these writing appeals. Okay, so to write an effective persuasive essay, you need to effectively combine all three of these. So the ethos is your credibility as a writer. Are you credible? Are you respectful? So in the one video that I linked to, I believe it was last week's assignment, we talked about this idea of okay, you have Pepsi and you have Coke, right? And if I'm trying to convince somebody to like Coke, I'm not going to say you have to like Coke. If you don't like Coke, then you're stupid because you're not credible after you've done something like that, right? So you always want to maintain that credibility and you always want to maintain that respect. The next one is pathos, and that's when you're appealing to you're writing in a way to appeal to somebody else's emotions, and the humans experience a wide range of emotions, right? You have love, but you also have hate. You have hope, but you also have fear. You have joy, but you also have sympathy, right? So or sadness. So to effectively do that, you would want to use very vivid language, imagery, figurative language, emotional language, right? So in the video that I linked, it was talking about how oil production is bad for the environment, and rather than just saying it's bad, right? They say why or how it's bad, and they talk about fish turning belly up and dying because they're poisoned from the toxins. Birds who don't know any better fly over the water and now they are covered in oil and sometimes die, right? And so that's playing on the reader's emotion. And then finally, logic, okay, or logos. So you're appealing to, when you're writing this way, you're appealing to their logic or their rational side, right? You're giving them facts, you're giving them statistics, you're giving them definitions, things of that nature, right? And all of that, if you combine all of that within your persuasive writing, then you are writing an effective persuasive essay. Okay, so now we're going to move on past that. And once again, my computer's slow. So now what we want to talk about is the different organizational patterns that you find in writing. Now, sometimes you will write in one organizational pattern the entire essay, right? But sometimes you will see essays that are written and each paragraph is a different organizational pattern. Okay, and so let's go over a few of those. All right, so the first one is cause and effect. Okay, and so when you think of cause and effect, the best thing that you can envision is this image of the dominoes, right? Because when you stack them up vertically, they're all standing there and nothing's happened. But when you push one of them over, they all go around and knock each one of them down, right? Simultaneously. So, um, that's a cause and effect type of paper. That's cause and effect type of writing because this happened, and this happened, and this happened, right? So that's the best image to have in your mind when we're thinking about cause and effect. The next one is compare and contrast. Okay, so this is when you look at a topic and you compare it to something else and you contrast it to that same thing. So I gave you the image of apples and oranges. Okay, you look at all the ways that they're similar, right? And they're fruit, they grow on trees, they have rinds, they have seeds. Okay, but then how are they different? So the texture is different, the taste is different. The inside, like the meat, is different, right? And so when you're talking about or you're writing in that organizational pattern, you are looking at the similarities, but then you're also looking at the differences. The next organizational pattern is exemplification. Okay, and I know that sounds like a hard organizational pattern because it's such a long word, but it's really not. It's actually one of the easiest ones, right? Because what you're doing is you are proving, so you're making a point, or you're making a claim, or you're making an argument, right? But then you're proving that point by using specific examples. Okay, so let's let me talk you through what I wanted you to do yesterday on the Nearpod. So the open-ended question says, what would be an exemplification of the following claim? Okay, or what would be an exemplification of the following point? So I wrote the sentence, students are having difficulty using Schoology. Okay, so then what example could you use to prove that students are having difficulty using Schoology? So something that you could have said, okay, so this would be my example, is students are having difficulty using Schoology. For example, the first marking period, I fell behind, and it was really hard to navigate through all of the different folders in each course. Therefore, I failed marking period 1. Okay, so that would be an exemplification of that claim. So hopefully you wrote something similar to that. And the next one is one that we don't really have to write this year. We don't have to write this type of essay. It's a little bit of a higher level essay. It's called a classification essay. And so in this type of essay, you are basically, you're mindful of how all the parts of something, of your topic, relate to the whole. So how each piece of info connects to the main idea. Okay, so don't worry, that one's a little bit higher level. You will see that one in your educational career, be it your junior, senior year, Comp 1, Comp 2. You will see this type of essay. But the good thing is not this. The next one is going to be problem and solution as soon as it comes up. Oh, no, it won't. Sorry. Definition. So you should have written a definition essay, a whole essay defining something last year. And so when you write a definition essay or a definition paragraph, okay, you would be looking at a word, okay? Let's say we're looking at the word school, right? So you would give me the denotative meaning of the word school, which would be a place where kids come to learn, right? However, everybody's going to have a different connotative meaning of the word school. So when we talk about connotative meaning, we're talking about what feelings, emotions does the word school bring to you, right? And so if you've had great school experiences, you've had great teachers, you've always made really good grades, You have a great friend group. You're involved in clubs, and you might have your connotative definition of school would be something very positive, right? Whereas on the other hand, if you've experienced, maybe your teachers weren't the teachers that you connect with, right? Or maybe you never really got connected into any organizations, or maybe there was a time in school where you just didn't feel like being there, or whatever the case. You're going to have a different connotative meaning of that word, right? Because you've been through different experiences. So when you're writing in that organizational pattern, it's very important that you think about what the word brings out in you. Okay. All right. The next one is now problem solution. And in this one, so in this pattern, you would introduce a problem and then provide an answer to that problem. Okay. Sounds pretty self-explanatory. And then finally, the last one is advantages and disadvantages. Okay. And so you can write in this pattern, you can argue your claims by presenting the advantages of your opinions and viewpoints, and then also presenting the disadvantages of opposing viewpoints or opinions. And I'm not sure why it's doing this. Okay, so you're weighing your options right there. So this is the part I really wanted to walk with you through to make sure that you got it correct and to explain how each one of them are an example of the organizational pattern. Computer's slow. So at this point in the Nearpod, you were supposed to choose a character, and then you're supposed to play this game. And it only gave you like 30 seconds. And sometimes reading those sentences, it puts a little pressure on you, so you couldn't really think it through. So I want to make sure that I go over them with you. Maybe if I make it smaller, it will load faster. Okay, so here we are. Let's make it big screen again so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so what you're doing is you're looking for what type of organizational pattern is in these two sentences. Okay, so the sentence says, the people elected candidate A into office last November. Since then, there has been a 12% tax increase for big businesses such as Amazon and Walmart. So the correct answer here is cause and effect, right? Because people elected candidate A into office last November, then there has been a 12% tax increase, okay? Because one thing happened, this happened, okay? So that would be cause and effect. The next one says global warming is making the climate hotter and hotter each year. If we convert to solar energy, we can reduce the amount of toxins released into the atmosphere. So what type of organizational pattern is this? Hopefully you said problem and solution, right? Because the writer starts off with a problem. Global warming is making the climate hot. And then he gives the solution. If we convert to solar, we can reduce the amount of toxins. Okay? Hopefully you got that one right. Let's look at the next one. Disney movies today are made with computer animation, where the original movies were made using frame by frame. So which organizational pattern would this be? Hopefully you said compare and contrast, right? Because they're comparing Disney movies of today, which are made with computer animation, to the original ones, which were made using frame by frame. And then last but not least, brown bears are more aggressive than black bears. Last year, a camper was attacked by a brown bear near his tent, despite having multiple peaceful sightings of black bears in that same forest. What type of organizational pattern is this? Hopefully he said exemplification, okay? Because again, remember, he made a point and then he proved his point, or she proved her point with a specific example, right? So brown bears are aggressive, and then they talk about a time when a camper was attacked by a brown bear and saw a lot of black bears, but the black bears didn't mess with them. Okay, so hopefully you got those right. I just wanted to go over those because I know we didn't have an opportunity to talk about it yesterday. So that's the overview of organizational patterns. So now you are going to try your hand at this. Okay, so you are going to click in here and you will see the Google slide presentation. And I've included in the presentation, I've included the types of patterns you're going to be looking for and the definition for what happens in each one of the patterns so that you don't have to go back to another folder to find that info. I went ahead and included it in the slideshow for you. Okay, so as you see, I've put the patterns of organization that you're looking at, right? Then over here, I gave you the definition and what takes place within each one of these organizational patterns. So what you're going to do, okay, I've given you 3 paragraphs, and I've pulled these 3 paragraphs from the article that we read called Tacos in Space, okay? And so for each one of these paragraphs, you are going to read the entire paragraph. Okay, I want you to read the entire paragraph, and then I want you to think about the entire paragraph. What is the author, how is he trying to organize this? Is it cause and effect? Is it compare and contrast? Is it problem solution? What is the organizational pattern within this paragraph? There's only going to be one. Okay, now you're asking, what is the highlighted stuff for? Right? Well, the highlighted sentences are there to give you kind of a hint. However, do not just read the highlighted material and try to figure it out. You need to read the whole paragraph so you get the context of that paragraph. Okay, so how do I answer this? Okay, so let's say you think this is problem solution. I'm not giving you an answer, okay, but let's say that you think this is problem solution. So then you would come in here, you would type right under it, problem solution. Okay, you don't have to highlight anything. You just have to give me the pattern of organization. There's only one pattern for each paragraph. Okay, so once you finish that, then you can submit that and turn it in. And we're going to go over it tomorrow. And hopefully we all get the correct answers. Okay, so remember, it is very important that you read the paragraph. Don't just read the highlighted parts. Okay. Well, that is all that I have for you today. Make sure that you answer the attendance question, and I will see you guys again tomorrow. Bye.